Fernando Giandomenico.
We're ready to educate people.
It's about the good, the bad, and the ugly. No bullshit. The real deal.
Welcome to the newest episode of The Real Deal. I'm Naz.
I'm Nick.
And I'm Sam.
And today we have with us radio personality and real estate guru, Fernando Giandomenico. Fern, welcome.
Team leader.
Large.
Thank you, guys.
I don't have a mic, you guys. You guys
We're going to take the stage.
Go ahead.
Okay, so I guess we're going to, today's episode's going to focus on the market and where it's headed and kind of our take on where we're at and what we've experienced. So, Fern, kind of get started with that and give us your take on the market right now and what we should expect for 2023.
So this is my opinion, what I expect in 2023. We know we started off slow in January, but I already see things picking up a little bit at the end of January. Now we're into February. What I predict, things will change by fall, but we already see an increase in momentum already. So I see things are going to change. I get it. Most people are hesitant about the interest rates, but we're also 20% cheaper on prices overall in most areas. So there's still a lot of opportunity. There's a lot of opportunity in resale, more than ever. And in some pre-con projects, there is opportunity as well with the incentives that builders are offering. So I predict an overall good year, and things should change by the fall. That's my prediction for this year.
Good prediction.
So, I don't know, this is going to be a little bit of a tricky question, Fern, but what indicators do you look for when you're talking about, market recovery or market skid? Like, what factors and indicators do you look for that show you that that's coming or not?
Well, as you know, we do a lot of marketing. We do a lot of lead generation. We talk to a lot of first-time home buyers. So our indication is through the buyers we speak to. So right now, there's a lot of buyers looking, okay? Like I said, there's a great opportunity for them. The biggest thing we find right now that most buyers have a lack of deposit. A lot of them have very good jobs. They got good credit. It's a lack of deposit that can get them into the market. But lucky for them, we have an amazing co-equity program that we've launched about 3-4 months ago, and we've already done a few deals with that. And it's a great way to get people into the market, not only as a first-time home buyer, but also if you want to upgrade and you don't have that deposit to upgrade to that bigger home that you want. So it's a great opportunity for people, and people are taking advantage of it. And we've seen it over and over now with the appointments we have. People love it. They don't understand it, but once they hear it, they see the value in that opportunity. Okay, it gets you into the market today versus a year or 2 years from now when the market's going to go up 20-30%. Okay, so that's the advantage you have today. So it's a great opportunity.
Good answer.
30 years in the biz.
Okay, so maybe we can ask your perspective on what some of the buyers are saying right now. What are some of the difficulties they're facing, and how can buyers overcome some of those difficulties in this market right now? I know the co-equity program is one way, but what are some tips that you can provide buyers to be ahead of the market and on top of their game in order to prepare for the right investments?
So what I strongly believe, any buyer that hasn't bought yet, if they're ready to buy financially, so let's say they have the deposit, don't need the help of a co-equity program, they should be buying, okay? This is one of the most questions that I get through the last 30 years, even all the webinars that I do with first-time home buyers. When is the right time to buy?
I asked you that.
Okay? And my answer has been the same for 30 years. Okay? Now, when you're ready, because as we know, most people build their financial wealth through real estate. Okay? And why not right now to start building equity and appreciation if you can? Right? And people understand what the equity and appreciation is. Equity is when you're paying down your mortgage, you're building equity by paying down the mortgage. Appreciation is the value that the property goes up. That's your profit. So the sooner you start doing that, the sooner you're going to get into the game of creating that wealth for yourself and for your family. And there's no better time than now when you're ready. Because as we know, the market is down, so we know the market's going to go up. We got companies that, hedge funds, Warren Buffett alone has put millions and millions of dollars to buy distressed properties. Now, why do you think they have millions and millions and billions of dollars to buy properties right now? The markets are low. They know the properties are going to go up. So why would they invest all this money if the market was bad and it's going to go further down? They wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
Okay, these are billionaires we're talking about. So if billionaires are doing it, we got to think like the billionaire. And we're going to buy now because we know the market's going to go up.
This is very true because last week or a couple weeks ago, Mattamy came out with an article. Not only did they purchase a bunch of assets, they also have been starting at projects, actually 3 in 1 week,
Yeah.
which says a lot.
They launched 3 projects. It's true. Yeah.
To be fair about
Yeah, go ahead.
To be fair about Mattamy, they're kind of like an outlier when it comes to building because
Publicly traded builder.
their sale
Most
prices
are.
are well,
Most are.
their purchase prices are always or usually lower than the average builder. Like you can look at that in when they released in Kleinberg versus like New Impressions and they were way cheaper. And for whatever reason they have that capability, but
But they also bulk build.
they bulk build.
This is a
Yeah.
little different.
Yeah. They kind of balloon build.
So the reason why Mattamy can do what they do is because they banked so much land so many years ago.
Right.
So they're into the land cost very cheap. But they also know when to adapt to the market they're in to sell. That's the difference.
Well, this is what I'm kind of getting at. Their price point is already lower than the average price point in most areas that they go into. So they can go into a market like this, and their prices are valued at what they should be in this market because their prices were already lower to begin with, right? And that's why they're capable of releasing a project, and we see so many other builders not releasing, like King's Calling, for example. They were supposed to release mid last year, right? And they haven't yet.
But that's through different issues. It's not
Right.
because they didn't
Okay.
want to launch.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just
there's
not the right
there's
time.
always a process when
It's not
it
the
comes
right
to
time,
building and launching. Okay. So has to do with, it could do with plans, it could do with permits, it could do with the municipality. So
Yeah.
there's so many reasons why builders don't launch right away. But Matamy's model is let's keep on selling. Okay. And let's adapt to the market we're in. And that's their model. Okay. That's what's worked for them for many, many years. And they're throughout North America. So it's not just in Canada.
Yeah.
So different model. Okay. So we can't expect everybody to be like Mattamy,
For sure.
but
I also think the people who they're making these products for is a different consumer, right? So they're marketing towards the everyday consumer opposed to like a luxury consumer or a different product, right? Whereas like in Kleinberg, I think when they came to that market, they came with a product for an everyday consumer opposed to like a luxury consumer, right? So they understand the marketplace that they're in. They're catering to families and first-time home buyers and people at an affordability level that makes sense, right?
And there's a reason why Mattamy ended up in Kleinberg, but I'm not going to get into that. But
It's not for me,
that's a
man.
whole different
That's
story.
a whole
but
different podcast.
okay, because
episode.
usually they don't build in this certain area. So
Yeah,
okay, so
they did
but,
a lot of,
yeah,
of building
but
it out in
the thing
Pickering.
to pinpoint about
Real
them is
suburbs.
they adapt to the market that we're in, and that's the beauty of that developer and builder.
So being 30 years in the biz, and with all these speculators out there saying we're going into a recession, we're in a recession. Have you seen this in the last 30 years? This cycle.
Absolutely.
least twice.
No, actually about 4 to 5 times. Okay? The only difference in this cycle, it's going to take a little longer than usual, usually anywhere from 6 to 8 months. This could be end up just over a year, but it will change. All markets change. And one thing that I've learned, and this is kind of a stat that I heard not long ago, that 68% of multimillionaires and billionaires, okay, made all their fortunes through a depression or a recession.
Very true.
So if you take that stat and think about it, when's the best time to buy?
Now.
No.
Now.
Well, maybe a month ago, but yeah.
So for all you speculators out there, buy now.
It's not even about the speculators, it's about even an end user. This
Yeah.
is an opportunity for you to get into the market. I understand interest rates are higher, but the prices are lower.
That's temporary.
So everyone wants the price to be low, interest rates to be low. That's doesn't exist.
Perfect world.
Okay, that's a perfect world. That only happens in Disney World. Okay, so this is
Real estate's
reality.
expensive there too.
Yeah.
Never mind.
So this is reality, and we have to look at it as there's an opportunity right now because people can get into the market today. Yes, paying a higher interest rate, but they're also paying 20% less on a product, which in a year or two, you know it's going to go back up to that 20% that went down.
That's money in your pocket.
And then you're going to refinance because the interest rates are going to go lower by that time anyway. So you're higher, you made a 20% appreciation, and your interest rate is going to be lower, so you're going to gain more equity anyway. Okay, so that's the benefit you have buying right now.
I'm just gonna tell a story about when I was looking for my place. That's still not built. If North Star Home is watching this, build my fucking house. I looked for 10 months with Melissa, my fiance, and I showed your dad tons of property. What do you think of this property? What do you think of this property? What do you think of this? Like, it got to the point where I was putting offers in on properties I couldn't afford. For some reason, like I was negotiating with Lou Grassi for the King City Towns by Zancor Homes, which I couldn't afford. Putting in offers in Oak Ridges that we couldn't afford, and finally we found the one. And I remember going to Fern and saying, "Do you think this is a good deal?" Fern looked at me and said, he goes, "Just get in the fucking market. It doesn't matter what you buy." And I think what he's trying to say is especially because I'm first time home buyer essentially. What he was trying to say is, listen, it doesn't matter what you buy because in 5 years, it's not going to matter what you bought because you're building equity, you're building appreciation, you're building value. Right now, your money's sitting in the bank and it's doing nothing. You're losing it essentially because between banking fees and you take out a little bit here, you take out a little bit there, you pay for a wedding, all the money's gone, right?
You pay for a wedding.
Yeah, we pay for a wedding and all the money's gone. So money in the bank, you lose it. Money in real estate, What does Grant Cardone say? He wants his money to make babies. He wants it to go out and make babies, right? Same thing.
Your money must be
Even though
making
he
money
looks-
while you sleep.
when you're sleeping. Yeah.
Okay. So true. So true.
So we talked about the market a little bit. As part of the FernG team as a whole, and talking to Mr. FernG, I know we talked about this before a little bit, but what is your vision for the FernG team or your goal for 2023?
Well, my goal is to create the most millionaires through this industry as I can by following a system and a structure that we've created through our tools that we have, through our coaching, through our mentorship. That's my goal, is to be one of the top rated teams in York region. That's my goal. That's my vision.
Okay, so we know the market's changed, so obviously agents have to adapt to it. So maybe we change the conversation to what can agents now on the agent side do in this changing market to level up their business and to stay on their game right now, because it's no longer just posting on Instagram or making a few calls. It's obviously a lot more groundwork than
My
before.
favorite. Old school. Old school. Stuff that worked for us when I started, stuff that worked prior to me getting into the business, and the stuff that works today in the present market. You got to go back to the basics. It's like any athlete. They practice the basics. That's how they get good at it. And it's no different than in our industry. You have to keep on practicing the basics that got people where they are today in this industry. And people lose sight of that because of social media, because of what they see. I get it. There's a lot of successful people on social media, but there's a lot of fake people on social media, okay? And people don't know who the people that are the difference are. So, and this is the thing that unfortunately people get caught up in, and they're looking at the person that they feel that's very successful, but really are they? And they get disappointed when they're posting a few things and nothing's happening to them. So you got to get back to the basics. And the basics, as realtors, we all know what they are. I'm not going to mention them. There's only a few things that you can do in this business that it's going to help you generate business constantly and create a very, very successful business for yourself. And this is what we preach on our team every single day, every single week, every single month, every single year. It's the basics. that's helped me to get to where I am today, but also people that are very successful in the industry today are doing the same things. And people are losing, sight of that or track of that, or what they need to do every day to become successful.
It's very true. It's really hard to get mixed up in the glamour and the glitz of the industry.
And I get it. Today's industry is totally different. People's, expectations, perceptions are all different than when I started in real estate.
It's very true.
We didn't have no CRMs. We didn't have no social media. We didn't have lead generation. We didn't have a lot of things. But we make do with the tools that still work today, because that's what worked. And that's what still works today. So if you blend old school plus everything that we're doing today, you're just going to get there a lot faster. But the problem is everybody wants to get there fast just with one type of marketing and one type of prospecting, which is not the way to do it. That's my opinion, okay? I know there's a lot of people out there that can do it through social media, but there's, thousands and thousands of dollars that need to be spent to do that. And let's face it, a lot of realtors today can't afford that. So how do you do it otherwise? So that's what you got to figure out. And we know what we need to do. And we've been doing it for over 30 years. And it's been proven, and it works, and it's still working. So that's the advice I can give to all the realtors out there that are getting into the business.
New agents, old agents.
That's right.
Some of us need a reminder.
Listen,
as
the
to
old
where
agents
we're
are still,
coming from.
they're still in the business because they're still doing this things that worked many, many years ago. They're still working today.
It's true, and there's a reason why they work. The traditional methods
Right.
are still in place for a reason.
Yeah, and I get it. Branding helps. Of course it helps today.
Those are just additional pillars to your business that you should be doing and adding.
That's
to it.
right.
But the traditional things are pillars that should always be in place. Right?
Always.
Yeah.
Always stick to the basics. Okay? A basketball player sticks to the free throw shot or the three-pointer, because those are the basics. Those are the things that get them points.
Yeah.
That gets them to win games. That gets them to compete with other teams that are good at that. So that's what they do. They train on the basics every single day. No different. Okay? No different.
Why reinvent the wheel if the wheel ain't broken?
That's right.
It's very true.
Very true.
Yeah.
Very true.
Yeah.
So Fern, you've been on this podcast. This is your third time on. Third.
It's funny. I started the
before.
broadcast and I'm on third time only
Well,
on it.
to be
Get
fair,
over.
you started the YouTube channel.
Yeah.
To be fair,
The real deal.
The real deal. The real deal was fun to film. That was fun. Those few episodes we did. It was
Yeah.
fun. They had the crew in there.
This
anyway,
is always fun.
there's a question that we ask now. It's a season 2 question. What makes you the real deal? Besides starting this.
Wait, we've never asked him this question.
No, we've never asked it.
Wow, this is a loaded
That's what I'm
question.
saying.
Oh, this is.
You know what?
So
I usually
what
have my
makes you the
suit
real
when you
deal?
ask these powerful questions. This is the first time. Look, I'm in.
Yeah, we
in
caught-
Well, hold on
I'm in
a
a-
second.
yeah,
Time
I'm
out.
in a hoodie.
Hold on. I just want to point out.
You just opened the can of
I
worms.
just want to point out the FernG team hoodie that he's got on, the merch. Do you want to talk about the merch before you talk about why you're the real deal? Are you the real deal because you have your own merch?
Listen, I would say I'm the real deal, not because of me, because of people that I've met through my career and people that I've surrounded myself with and all my clients that have supported me through the 30 years. That's why I'm the real deal, because of them, not because of me. So they've made me the person I am today. And I've had great mentors.
Big flex.
Everybody says it's the people you hang around with that makes who you are.
You're a product of your environment.
That's right.
It's true. Absolutely.
And your net worth is
Your
the
network.
5 people you hang around with.
Your
net
network
worth is your
network.
network.
Right? So if I'm going to say I'm the real deal, it's because of the people that I've met, the people I've associated with, and my clients that brought me to where I am today. So I thank you to all of them.
That might
And
be one of the
that's
best
who's
answers
made
we've
me
gotten.
who I am today.
That might be one of the best answers we've
I
gotten.
think that's the
That
top
was
of the
powerful.
list.
Yeah,
Oh, it
yeah,
is
that's-
powerful.
that's right up there.
100%.
That's right up there. Fern.
I hope so. After
Holy
30 years, I have a good answer.
Holy jeez. Yeah, that was a good
That
answer.
was a really good answer.
Yeah. Anything? This has been 20 minutes. Anything else that we have to ask the FernG?
Well, you left us with no words after that response.
So,
How do we beat that? Until next week. We'll be back with another episode.
Actually, you
Yeah.
could catch FernG weekly
Yes.
on 11 a.m. on Chin Radio. He's there live once a month. Talk about different topics. Yeah, he does live call-ins as well. 100.7, 11 a.m. every Friday on Bella Ciao. You'll hear his commercials. You will hear him once a month live. You could call in, tune in. It's fun, guys. Check it out.
And we have a couple of new radio stations we'll be on shortly.
Big announcements.
Big announcements
More
coming
stuff
soon.
coming.
But again, we're here to educate everyone. That's our ultimate goal. We'll do the best we can to help people and guiding them in making the right moves and creating financial wealth for them. That's our major goal.
Yeah.
I also want to give it to all three here, the wonderful job they're doing with this. They've taken it on and they're bringing it to the next level, which I highly appreciate, all the work and effort they're putting in. We also have a preferred vendor program that we're coming up with that we're going to be talking about in the next few episodes. So keep track of that. And thanks for being on. We really appreciate it. And thanks for having me on again.
Thank you for being
Thank you
on,
for
Fern.
joining us. We'll put
Thank
all
you.
of our team socials at the bottom so you guys can keep up with us and all the updates. We'll see you next time.
Until next time.
We're the real deal.